Today's recipe is a spicy cornbread. Before you get started, you'll need to preheat your oven to 375. This recipe is a twist on cornbread where you add red pepper flakes, cream of corn, and some sharp cheddar cheese. Here's a list of ingredients, and I've also included a list of utensils. In the notes section below, you'll see the full entire recipe. I hope you enjoy making and baking the cornbread. So today we're going to make the spicy cornbread recipe. This is a recipe that was given to me by my sister-in-law some years ago, and I'm sure you can find it on the internet somewhere, but this is what we're going to do today. So the instructions say that you should first butter your pan. So we're just going to spray some butter spray in it. And the instructions then say that you're to put this in the oven to get it all warmed up. Today I'm actually taking this dish to a friend's house, so I did choose to use the disposable pan today. I'll go ahead and put it in the oven and have it warming up. It's what the instructions say, so it's just what I do. The next is the instructions do say that basically you're going to mix all of the dry ingredients, and then we'll add the liquids and the eggs. And the very last step is to add cheese, onions, and the green peppers. I went ahead and already cut up the onions and the bell peppers so that it's just easier. So the first step was the 3 cups of your cornmeal meal. The next steps is baking powder. For those of you that aren't that are new to baking, baking powder and baking soda, they're 2 different things. So just be aware that this actually calls for baking powder, not soda. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and measure the 2 tablespoons of baking powder into our dry mix. All right. And then 2. I'm going to add just a little bit more because that wasn't a full tablespoon. So we'll set that aside. We're done with that for right now. The next thing is we're going to do 2 tablespoons of sugar. I've got my handy dandy sugar over here. And we'll go ahead and scoop up 2 tablespoons of sugar. 1 and, oops, 2. My measurements aren't exact, but that's what I do. So now we're going to do 2 teaspoons of red pepper flakes. I think that the red pepper flakes add a really nice spice to the spicy cornbread. It's probably my favorite part of the spicy cornbread because it's not totally overwhelmingly spicy, but sometimes you'll get a nice little red pepper flake and it'll go, oh, it'll kick you. But all right, so and then we're going to do 2.5 teaspoons of salt. So I'll go ahead and add my salt. I don't like cooking with a lot of salt. It's just my prerogative. But this recipe does call for 2.5 teaspoons of salt, so I'm going to go ahead and actually add it because it does. This recipe definitely does need it. So what I'm doing is I'm just I'm leveling off my teaspoon over here in the sink. Okay, so we're going to get that. All of our dry ingredients are together. We're going to go ahead and just whisk that up with my little handy dandy whisk. And then the next step is we're going to go ahead and add our 2 cups of milk. For my friends that are new to cooking and baking, just remember this is a liquid measuring cup, and then your measuring cup over here, this is for dries. So we're going to use our liquid measuring cup to measure our milk, which it calls for 2 cups of milk. Pour that in there. I do use my whisk to whisk everything around. So as I add that milk, I'm going to go ahead and whisk it up. After we whisk the milk in, we're going to add 1/2 cup of canola oil. Again, this is I'm using vegetable oil. If you wanted to use extra virgin olive oil, I'm sure you could. If you want to use canola oil, you can do that as well. Again, this is my liquid measuring, so I'm going to go ahead and use my liquid measuring cup. And I do eyeball it. I do kind of try to get a little bit down there to make sure that I've got the 1/2 cup. I'll put it in my sink. And then we're going to mix that up. And then our last liquid that we have here is our cream style corn. This is an ingredient that you can't leave out. I think that the cream style corn does help add to that nice moist. So you're not going to drain the cream style corn like you would in a green bean casserole. You're going to just dump it all in there because you want that cream from the cream style corn to get all in your cornbread. We will go ahead and add our eggs. Just crack those up. And I got another one hiding over there, so it does call for 2 eggs. It called for a whole yellow onion and a 1/2 of a green bell pepper. I went ahead and used a whole bell pepper because I like the taste of a bell pepper. So I'm going to go ahead and add my onions and my bell peppers in. And going to keep whisking that around. Nice and mixing it up. The next step is, or the last step that we have here is to add our grated cheese. It calls for 1 cup. This package was open. I'm sure I used cheese for something else. I don't mind using more cheese, so I'm just going to go ahead and dump in 2 cups of cheese because I like it nice and cheesy. You can see this didn't take much time to make. The mixing up, you know, the dicing of the vegetables typically is the longest part of the process. So once you get all those things chopped up, all you're doing is just throwing all the ingredients together. So once you feel that's nice and mixed up and whisked to your liking, I'm going to get my pan out of the oven where it's been warming with my okay, so here is my, again, I'm using a disposable pan because I'm going to a friend's house tonight and I'm taking this along, so I don't want to have to bring home a dirty dish because most of the time you forget it. So I'm just dumping this into my aluminum pan, and then I'm going to put this in the oven. Again, you preheated your oven to 375, and I'm going to bake this for, the directions say 45 minutes. So I will put it in for 45 minutes, and then I'll just look in the center, and if it's too moist, I'll leave it in for about 5 minutes longer. But 45 minutes is typically the time it takes. So I'll come back and I'll show you the finished product. Okay, so it's been 45 minutes and I did take it out of the oven. It says, the recipe says that you should be able to put a knife or a toothpick in it, and then it comes out nice and clean. If you need to bake it for more than 45 minutes, I just do it until it's this nice golden brown color. Whenever you cut it, it does cut just like a cake, so it's nice and moist. And if you want to see what the end product looks like, I will go ahead and put one on a plate for you so you can see. It's colorful and flavorful, and it's nice and moist. You can see the corn and the red pepper flakes and the green onion, or the bell peppers and the onions. And like I said, it eats more like a cake than it does a biscuit or a roll. So I hope you guys enjoy the recipe.